Okay, it's Thursday, September 29th. This is a pre-opening SPY video about 2 hours before the market opens, so there's still plenty of time to go. You can see here, after a nice green day yesterday to the top of this 4-day range, we are now moving a little lower here pre-market. The current range now is right in the middle of this green bar, these two blue lines, the high and the low. So the bottom line is, at the moment, we're kind of stuck in this range that I've been describing for the last 2 days. And in the end, either, short term, we're going to either break out above it or break out, below it. In terms of the broadening action, you can look at my closing video yesterday. You can see here we did kind of take out the broadening. I drew this megaphone in here, so we broadened out to the upside, then we brought it to the downside. The question is, when we're right in the middle, we're going to continue, to just broaden lower and go higher. It's not going to go that way forever. Eventually, this is going to expand either up or down for a little while. But for now, the only way to play it is to kind of play whatever breakout occurs of this. Let's say we stay kind of in this range here, right in the middle of this bigger range. If we break out to the upside, expect it to kind of head to the top, but then monitor for a breakout or failure up here. And if we head down again, you'll expect it to kind of head to the bottom of the range. You'll look for breakout or failure. So you might have a little, room to play a trade, but then it might fail. Some of the best trades will be that if we come up and fail, then, really fail in an obvious way, then you look to go to the bottom of the range. You can almost say that this is developing here as of yesterday, that we're failing to go up and we might be starting down. But given the fact it's a green bar and we still might rally a little bit as the pre-market comes to an end, we might start up and kind of be above the halfway point and try a breakout higher in line. If you looked at my closing video yesterday, you'll see kind of how I think this could be a failure range in here. If not, then the weekly chart, if we go up even further, the weekly chart with 2 days to go, we see if it takes out the midpoint of that bar, and we kind of see how this weekly bar closes to get a hint into next week. There's one other. So anyway, for today, let's just call it a tricky environment in the sense that there's no obvious, just like yesterday, it was kind of something that wasn't obvious, but then by the open, you kind of sense that you were breaking out above its pre-market range and moving, to the high of that range, given the opening price action. Today, we're right in the middle, so that just gives you a little room to go maybe at the top or bottom, but even there you can get failures. So it could be a tricky environment in terms of a very short term if we're just going to stay stuck in this range. So keep that in mind in terms of follow through expectations. You might have to just look at different individual stocks to find the best ones. But in terms of a bigger picture kind of view, what's interesting is if you go to the monthly chart, the big thing I described a couple of days ago is we finally hit our monthly target, and that's why we're pausing right here. So the question is, when we're pausing here after hitting a target, do we continue, does it immediately reverse all the way back up? And we're, a long way from that at the moment, or does it just pause and continue lower within this channel on the monthly chart? And just showing you an example, I went back because I wanted to go here. Here was an example where if you're looking at it, the market, on a short-term basis, right on this month here, kind of reached its target. And you can see the way it paused for a whole bunch of months before the trend continued lower. And when I go to the weekly chart on that area, just to show you how things develop at pause areas. So what you had here, this was the area right here on the weekly chart where you see you're taking out that big monthly low, and then you're getting a lot of pausing action, even though the trend is down. So what that means is you might get a little bit of an up action here, but you can see here, it never, once you got the two up and on this week, you never reached those targets. And once it turned down, this was a great 4 weeks of trading to the downside to take that target out again. Then you're taking out the target on the low end, and again, you pause and you get this up move. Now, in this case, once you got the up move developing here, you had a new kind of upper target to broaden out to. So for 2 weeks, you had the upside, but you knew the trend was overall down, and once it turned down, then you started really getting nice action to the downside. So I'm just showing you on that first play where you take out a major low right in here. It gets tricky sometimes. You can still play the short-term moves and everything, day to day, and I'm sure there was some good up trades here, but it's not like the whole trade is going to immediately reverse just because you get one weekly reversal after a monthly low is reached, back here, and all of a sudden expect it to go ahead, that's it, we reached our lows, we're now going to continue the uptrend. When things are definitely heading down with a break on the monthly charts red. So here the monthly charts red as well. And just because we hit a target doesn't mean we're going to immediately start a whole new move. It just could mean an interesting way to kind of see how the daily chart then kind of decides to broaden out a little bit until it eventually finds a good weekly kind of a situation here, where we come up and fail to reach a target, and then once it turns down, you can really get excited to go short. And I was kind of mentioning that yesterday in the recap video, how if on this weekly chart we start heading up a little bit, maybe by the end of the week, and then we start to go up, but we can't hit this target, it could be exciting to get short again in line with the monthly trend. So that's something I'm really keeping in mind. But here in the short run, we got to go day by day. In this big trading range here, we already broadened to the upside, so it wouldn't be shocking if you fail and head lower, and that was all you're going to get in terms of a rally. But it still seems like there should be a little bit of testing higher, but we'll just have to see how it goes here. And it is tricky in the sense that we're right in the middle of a 4-day range. So the bottom line is too, the longer this range goes on, now it's 4 days and it's going up and down. The longer it goes, the more you're going to get some kind of either breakout and failure back down, or you're just going to get a breakout, lower type of thing. And again, I'm assuming a failure in the sense that the trend is down overall. So at some point, even though it rallies, I'll be looking to get short, very similar to that example I showed you, back in here where we kind of failed at some point for a couple of weeks and headed down. So I'm still keeping that in mind. But again, if it really explodes up, I'll change my tune, but I'm not really thinking that way at the moment. So let's see what happens today. Let's see where this range, starts. Let's play breakouts out of that range, knowing we still were in the middle of a very tight, another bigger range in here that really has to break out one way or the other to get the next big directional move of the market. So it might be a tricky day that way, but let's just see where we open and kind of keep all these levels in mind.